Hey guys, back to our daily drive. Now I'm just about to set off, end of the day, and I had something in mind which it was more about the driving risk assessment. Now I'm sure I have covered this before because I usually mention it, but I don't know if I have. And I was telling a few of my students, usually what happens is I kind of think about what I'm going to say just because of what happens in our lessons sometimes. Whenever you drive, we come across meeting scenarios and all of this, and I don't know if you guys know how usually how insurance companies work. It's usually a risk assessment. Insurance companies are judging whether you are male, female, are you married, do you have kids, have you got a house, do you live with your parents, etc. All of this sort of stuff, and they will assess how much of a liability, which obviously postcode you live in, what's the crime rate already in that area, and those are the things they're going to factor in. And driving can be something similar like that. So driving is literally, for me, I tell a lot of my students, it's risk assessment. Okay, we're looking at distances and gaps and how many cars on the road, how wide is the road, what's the surface like, what's the weather like, you're factoring all of these things in. And what you want to think about is the higher the risk, the lower your speed should be. Okay, so that will come into a lot of meeting scenarios where you just saw how it was just now. And now I'm also looking at these cars. There's a nice gap in the middle there, slightly less risk here, and then I can keep my pace as it is and I'm fine. Whereas if I get a little bit closer to where there's not much space, which you probably will come across in a bit, then you have to start reducing your pace. So you guys really need to look at hazard there. I'm just spotted the guy with the kid. There you go, picked her up, and you're fine. This is a potential. I'm going around them, and that's fine. And there we go, perfect. So now, again, a few scenarios. Cars coming, parked cars on both sides. That's increased the risk. Lots of space. That's decreased the risk. Now it's getting narrow. That's increased the risk. So every time I'm increasing, well, the risk is increasing, my speed decreases. Okay, and you'll see a lot of students, they're coming up to a scenario like this, and instead of slowing down because you're on a bend, you've got parked cars both sides, they start going like this, accelerating, and they get super dangerous like that. Okay, so you want to avoid those scenarios. Okay, obviously I've just done that as an example. That car was fine. So so now we're going to come up to the end of the road. So now I can't see. That's increasing the risk. Got a gentleman there, another risk. Okay, end of the road, obviously that's part of the risk. So all of these have caused me to now come to almost a standstill. Okay, so number one thing when you're driving now, I want you guys to risk assess. You need to factor in what the issues are. How much space do you have? Can you go? That person's letting them go. Let's see if I can edge out a little bit. She is now going to do a U-turn here, which is not going to help anyone. Let's see if I can get past them. There we go, and off we go. Rush hour time, so you're gonna kind of improvise as you're coming out, so don't do that on your driving test. You generally have to stay back until you get a few prompts to go forwards. So now a big truck or a bus like this, or coach I should say, risk assessment. Bike there, risk assessment. Okay, when I can't see around a vehicle, bigger the vehicle, bigger the gap. Okay, you really need to hold up and stay back, because then you get more of a view. Sometimes if it's a normal bus, which they will pull over a lot, you want to be offset a little bit, so you can see around the bus, so then you can overtake when it's safe. I don't like driving behind vans and things like that, because I can't see through and I don't know when they're going to brake or what reason they're going to brake for. And so you want to kind of increase or decrease your risk. I should say decrease your risk. All right, coming up to the junction now, two lanes become one, so the risk later on will become that we both merge in together. So I need to kind of assess what's next to me and how that pans out ahead. So something to keep in mind. I do highlight that a lot with a lot of students, that you need to factor in the risk. It is really, really important. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. hopefully we'll come across a little bit more later, but I don't think there's going to be too much more to that, so I won't bore you guys with too much on today's one. That was just something that came up in my mind, especially since I've done a few meeting scenarios, and you know, meeting traffic is literally a high risk assessment. You are constantly working out, is there a gap, is it, you know, is it a large enough gap, can I fit through, etc, etc, and according to that you adjust your speed, you adjust your positions, etc. So bear that in mind, and hopefully you'll find the driving a lot easier if you start focusing on the risks. Okay, so higher risk, lower speeds. Okay, so here we go. Now they've moved off a lot quicker, so they're going to go into the middle. I'm going to slot in just behind them. That's it. Risk assessment, bus stop, there's a pedestrian there, you never know, they might walk across. That's that part of your hazard perception. And then now we're coming up to a crossroad junction. You would never go flying through a crossroad even if it was green, because that's high risk. So yeah, that's that. So it's really simple. In fact, break it down, you know, identify it, talk about it maybe as you're driving. You know, literally, you know, that hazard perception is literally, it should just be called risk assessment, you know. So you know, they are highlighting all the dangers, all the risks, you know, that called potential risk. They're signaling, hopefully they abide by the rules and they wait. So that's all it is. Can't see past these parked cars, anyone can walk out, that's part of your risk assessment, which is why you don't ever want to be too close to it. Door could open, okay. And then you got a bicycle, you got the pedestrians, you got everything around you here, side road coming up, there you go, a car emerging, you got this set scenario here where it's getting narrower now, you can see it. Okay, my speed has dropped, you can see that now it's increasing because now there's less parked cars, less hazards, so I'm driving a lot according to all of that. Now we've got a roundabout ahead, so let's see, I go further ahead today. Normally I go left, but okay, so now we've got the pedestrian there, he's being good, I've assessed it. It's literally as they did hazard perception. You're spotting everything, assessing the risk, and according to that, the more you spot, the more problems you see, the slower you need to start going. Okay, so loads of things happening here, not much more different to what you came across, so I won't bore you with more of a longer video, even though I said that a while ago with the at the junction, and then I just carry on talking. I seem to waffle on a bit sometimes, so you might get bored after a while, but hopefully not. Hopefully it does help you guys. Pedestrians here, island there, they might try and use that quickly to cross when there's slow traffic, so constantly assessing, analyzing, and then you will find your way. Okay, so hope that helps. I will now stop talking. Oh, there's a bike, and all the best with your driving. Hopefully this risk assessment video helped. See ya. Stop recording.